Welcome to Kansas Ag Report. I'm Ken Rogers. On the program today, Krissek stops by once again from Kansas Corn. We're going to talk about this year's crop and what we're going to do with all those bushels that we're expected to bring in this fall. Also, Beth Gaines from the Kansas FFA Foundation stops by. We'll talk about some opportunities coming up in the near future for you to participate in giving back to this great organization. We'll also have reports from Kansas Wheat and the Kansas Farm Bureau, and our weekly features from the Kansas Livestock Association and Paragon Ag Advisors. Stay with us. You're watching the Kansas Ag Report.
Closed captioning brought to you by Farm Bureau, a grassroots ag organization representing the state's farmers and ranchers since 1919. KFB.org. Kansas Wheat Commission, leaders in the adoption of profitable innovations for wheat. Online at kswheat.com. Kansas Livestock Association, supporting our members' business interests to meet consumers' demands. KLA.org.
Well, joining us now is Greg Krissek, CEO of Kansas Corn. And Greg, even though we're not quite at harvest season, as we've been driving the countryside, I think most people realize, and most farmers probably, planted more corn. We've got a lot of corn acres. So how are we going to, I guess, make sure we have a place for that corn to use it?
Right. Great question. So over the last year to two, our corn commissioners have continued to communicate to us as staff that farmers were going to grow that corn. Their best chance at cash flowing involved that. Obviously not as good as it was a couple years ago on the economics, but still looking to grow the corn because they could see the markets. Our job then that they've challenged us is to increase the use of corn, get those opportunities identified for corn producers, and we're taking an approach at that in all forms. Our two largest customer bases in Kansas would be the livestock industry, first, especially beef cattle, and then second, the ethanol plants. And of course, with the ethanol plants, the distillers' grains will become cattle feed as well. So we're supporting that industry, in both ways. Certainly looking to work with cattle industry any place that they're expanding. And then the ethanol plants, we have quite a bit going on regarding domestic use of ethanol, but I don't want to skip over the fact that for both of those industries, we have very targeted projects and support for exports, both of beef and exports of ethanol. And the Kansas Corn Commission, in both cases with the U.S. Meat Export Federation and the U.S. Grains Council, though through the years we weren't always in a position to export as we might be today. We've been supportive of both those organizations over 25 years because we know it's important as you look at the world population. 95% of the people live outside the United States borders. We are going to want to support getting product either as raw grain or as the value-added products to wherever those markets are.
Well, it sounds like a great opportunity. Now, I can't let you go without asking, we'll put the Kansas corn hat on, not the commission hat. Change at EPA, corn growers, farmers, many seem to be fairly excited that there's a change now.
You're right. We had the opportunity to participate in the meeting with the former administrator when he came to Kansas and visited the ethanol plant in Garnett. Frankly, our leaders told him exactly how they felt. And most importantly, this is around the small refiner waivers. We have seen EPA through that administration destroy 1.6 billion gallons of market demand, which translates into 500 million bushels. I don't know what that would have meant to the corn price, but I think it would have made it better if we had been able to use those 500 million gallons.
Okay, well, we'll look to see if Mr. Wheeler stays on, how long he does, and what happens. So
it'll remain one of our highest priorities.
Good. All right, Greg. Well, again, appreciate the update, and we'll continue to follow up on how things progress through the fall with this year's seemingly good Kansas corn crop. So thanks.
We're hoping for one. Thanks, Kid.
Greg Krissek, the CEO of Kansas Corn, has joined us. Stay with us. We'll have more coming up.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Livestock Association, supporting our members' business interests to meet consumers' demands. KLA.org. Oldie Seed Farms, carrying soil-specific seed. Find them on the web at oldieseed.com. That's OHLDE seed.com. Grass and Grain, online or in the mail, keeping Kansas farmers informed for over 60 years. Grassandgrain.com. Kansas Wheat Commission, leaders in the adoption of profitable innovations for wheat. Online at kswheat.com.
All over the country, more and more communities are making the change to biodiesel made from U.S. soybean oil. And the decision continues, improving the health and welfare for millions of Americans while adding billions to our national economy.
What does a brighter, more sustainable future look like in our cities and towns, and how do we get there? When New York needed an alternative fuel source to reduce carbon emissions, the city found what it needed in biodiesel, made from U.S. soybean oil.
Welcome back. We're joined now by Beth Gaines, who is Executive Director of the Kansas FFA Foundation. Beth, boy, it's been a while. Great to catch up with you.
Thanks. It has been a while. It's glad to see you in town.
Just a few weeks ago, the Blue Jackets ascended on Manhattan and the state convention. Tell us how that went.
Absolutely. It is an event we look forward to every year. This year was our 90th celebration, so it was kind of a big moment. We were fortunate enough to host the USDA Secretary, Sonny Perdue, so lots of excitement in the building. When it was all said and done, we had over 2,000 members, guests, and advisors in attendance to really celebrate a year's achievements in the FFA. So it's really a special week here in Manhattan.
A lot of achievements for those future folks involved in agriculture. The other thing, you celebrated a lot of new chapters in the state.
We did. We chartered 15 new chapters across the state, and those were located in very rural areas as well as some more urban areas that we don't necessarily think about as being a stronghold for FFA, but all kinds of diversity, all kinds of sizes. The future really is very bright for Kansas.
Now, one of the reasons why we want to talk with you, and this is kind of closed captioning only for FFA alumni, but anybody that supports the future of agriculture, you have a fundraiser coming up, and probably fun, it will be a big part of it, but something that the dollars raised will go to something called WLC. Explain what that is and explain what you're going to be doing here in a few weeks.
You bet. The WLC is the Washington Leadership Conference, and it's an opportunity for our students here in Kansas to travel to our nation's capital for a week and really delve deep into leadership, what it means to them, develop a mission statement, and really see what a difference and an impact that they can make in their communities. Because it is in our nation's capital and a week long, it's not a cheap endeavor, so it's an expensive event for students to attend. So we're going to have a scholarship scramble. August 1 in Wamego, with those funds from this golf tournament going towards scholarships for these students to attend WLC in the summer of 2019.
So that'll be taking place right in just a couple of weeks. So I'm sure you probably have still room for some teams, some players, but also those who want to support. Absolutely.
There's still some whole sponsorships, as well as we've got a few slots remaining for teams. So if you want to sign up and enjoy an outing of golf at the Wamego Country Club on August the 1st, we'd be glad to have you. And those details for sponsorships and team registrations can be found on our website, which is www.ksffafoundation.org.
All right, Beth. Well, again, saw that on the screen, so we look forward to having a full slate of folks participating and supporting the Kansas FFA. Thanks again. Always good to catch up with you.
Oh, thanks, Ken.
Beth Gaines, who is the Executive Director of the Kansas FFA Foundation, has joined us. Stay with us. You're watching the Kansas Ag Report.
This segment brought to you by Farm Bureau, a grassroots ag organization representing the state's farmers and ranchers since 1919. KFB.org. Oldie Seed Farms, carrying soil-specific seed. Find them on the web at oldieseed.com. That's OHLDE seed.com. Grass and Grain, online or in the mail, keeping Kansas farmers informed for over 60 years. Grassandgrain.com. Kansas Weed Commission, leaders in the adoption of profitable innovations for weeds. Online at kswheat.com.
Agriculture information on your computer or mobile device. News and views on grains, livestock, policy, and opinions from newsmakers can be found by liking AgView on Facebook, and on Twitter, follow AgView News. A reliable and relevant source, agview.net.
Many seed companies claim to offer the latest genetics, but how many have tested those genetics in soils just like yours? The Oldie Seed Know to Grow research program has fully tested the latest seed genetics in soils that are right in your neighborhood. The Oldie Seed Know to Grow program can recommend the best performing hybrids from technologies like Enlist, Extend, and Liberty Link that will optimize the yield and profit of every acre on your farm. Contact Oldie Seed today.
All over the country, more and more communities are making the change to biodiesel made from U.S. soybean oil. And the decision continues, improving the health and welfare for millions of Americans while adding billions to our national economy.
What does a brighter, more sustainable future look like in our cities and towns? And how do we get there? When New York needed an alternative fuel source to reduce carbon emissions, the city found what it needed in biodiesel made from U.S. soybean oil.
Agriculture information on your computer or mobile device. News and views on grains, livestock, policy, and opinions from newsmakers can be found by liking AgView on Facebook, and on Twitter, follow AgView News. A reliable and relevant source, agview.net. And joining us now is Beth Gaines, who is Executive Director of the Kansas FFA Foundation. We want to talk a little bit about some of the good things going on with our young folks in the state of Kansas. I don't know, Beth, what we call them, teens, young, youth is kind of, whatever we want to call them. But there's a lot of great things going on with FFA chapters. And one of the things I want to ask you about is, when folks were in Manhattan for State FFA Convention, it's more than just celebrating what's gone on over the last year, but you're really trying to do more for local communities, but maybe folks that are a little less fortunate. Tell us about that.
Absolutely. For our 90th year, we celebrated that anniversary at our convention. We took on a service project with the idea of preparing and packaging 90,000 meals for Kansans in need. This happened to be a part of a Living to Serve grant, which was made possible by the National FFA Foundation. So a couple times during convention week, we had almost 300 students gather together and work to prepare and package meals that will be distributed or have been distributed throughout Kansas for those individuals who, are less fortunate and are food insecure. And food insecurity, while we don't really think about it, for many of us, it's a real issue with 1 in 7 not knowing necessarily where that next meal is coming from. So for our students to be able to step up in this form of service and help others, and these meals went back to their home communities and were delivered to their local food relief agencies. So students really got a firsthand help in helping.
Another thing that we keep hearing a lot about is schools and communities are realizing the importance of FFA, and we're finding more chapters, and that continues to grow. It
does continue to grow. This year during convention, we chartered 15 brand new chapters, and they stretched from across Kansas, from very rural areas to more urban areas. Down in the Renwick chapter, just outside of Wichita, was one of the new chapters that was chartered this year. And students and teachers and communities are recognizing the value that this hands-on learning program brings to students, and we just get a continued interest in developing these programs. And already for the next school year, there are 6 or 8 new chapters that are in the development stages for this upcoming school year. So we're really excited. Right now, there's 199 chapters across Kansas.
How can they do that?
They can find us on our websites, www.kansasffa.org for the association, and kansasffafoundation.org is the foundation. So if you're looking to support the kids, that's the place to go check out for there.
Beth Gaines with the Kansas FFA Foundation has joined us. Stay with us. We'll have more coming up.
Spring is sprung, and Premier Farm and Home has what you need to keep your yard crabgrass free throughout the season. With a complete line of pre-emergents, you can stop crabgrass before it starts. Premier Farm and Home, 900 Southwest University Boulevard, or find them on the web at heycow.com.
Since wheat harvest recently wrapped up, talk about yields and variety performance may influence planting selections for this fall. While variety selection can be challenging, choosing quality seed is easy. Since 1919, farmers have purchased certified seed with confidence, knowing they are receiving quality wheat in each bushel. Kansas Crop Improvement Association completes an assortment of tests before labeling the seed as certified seed. These tests prove that the wheat meets certain certified seed standards of acceptable minimums for test weight, germination, and purity, and has no noxious weed seeds. Before applying for certified seed labeling, applicants must extensively clean anything the seed may touch, like their planting and harvest equipment and storage facilities. Certified seed cannot contain foreign materials. Although all seed meant for sale is tested due to labeling regulations, not all tested seed is treated equally. Certified seed is held to higher standards during testing, especially in Kansas. Kansas Crop Improvement Association tests a bigger seed sample than any other state, producing more accurate results and making sure its quality meets industry standards. Seed that's not sold as certified has different standards to uphold. Companies may be marketing wheat seed that's lower in quality, but there are no regulatory issues with this as long as the bags are labeled accordingly. Seeing a blue certified seed label gives farmers peace of mind in knowing they have taken the first step in producing a high-quality Kansas wheat crop. Quality grain begins with quality seed.
If you'll be at the Kansas State Fair September 7th through the 16th in Hutchinson, make sure you stop by the Ad Astra Pavilion and visit the friendly faces at the Kansas Farm Bureau booth. We have many fun, family-friendly activities planned throughout the fair, and you won't want to miss them. Every day of the fair at 10:30, 2:30, and 4:30, we'll have farm families sharing why they love what they do and how it impacts each and every one of us. We love showcasing the hard work of Kansas farmers and ranchers and can't wait to share this with fairgoers. Fun children's activities will follow the morning presentation, and an adult-focused demonstration will follow the late afternoon presentation. If your kiddos are 4-H or FFA Livestock exhibitors, make sure you bring them by September 7th through the 9th. We'll be handing out t-shirts to show how proud we are of the work they've done. Look for the t-shirt voucher in their exhibitor credential packet. Other activities include a virtual reality visit to a hog barn and a robotic milking parlor, and a grocery store showcasing several things we grow right here in Kansas. Stop by the Ad Astra Pavilion and see if you can complete the grocery store challenge. Every winner receives a free ice cream while supplies last. If you're a Farm Bureau member, make sure you stop by the members only area for free water and a place to relax. If you're not a Farm Bureau member, the fair is a perfect time to join. We'll have folks around who can help you become part of the state's largest advocacy organization. We'll see you at the fair in the Ad Astra Pavilion.
Agriculture information on your computer or mobile device. News and views on grains, livestock, policy, and opinions from newsmakers can be found by liking AgView on Facebook, and on Twitter, follow AgView News. A reliable and relevant source, agview.net.
What if U.S. soybean oil were an industry sensation? If end users started asking for it by name? That future is here. The time is now. To meet customer demands, the Soybean Checkoff is investing in varieties that produce oil with increased functionality. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers.
The producer-funded Kansas Wheat Innovation Center was built to get improved varieties into the hands of farmers faster. Kansas Wheat, farmers advancing their future through wheat genetics research.
Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture, represents grassroots agriculture. The state's largest and most powerful farm organization stands up for its members through leadership development, agriculture education, legal defense, environmental advocacy, farm safety, and risk management. Members also enjoy money-saving benefits. To join our organization today or to learn more, go to www.kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Agriculture information on your computer or mobile device. News and views on grains, livestock, policy, and opinions from newsmakers can be found by liking AgView on Facebook, and on Twitter, follow AgView News, a reliable and relevant source, agview.net.
What does a brighter, more sustainable future look like in our cities and towns, and how do we get there? When New York needed an alternative fuel source to reduce carbon emissions, the city found what it needed in biodiesel made from U.S. soybean oil.
Many seed companies claim to offer the latest genetics, but how many have tested those genetics in soils just like yours? The Oldie Seed Know to Grow research program has fully tested the latest seed genetics in soils that are right in your neighborhood. The Oldie Seed Know to Grow program can recommend the best performing hybrids from technologies like Enlist, Extend, and LibertyLink that will optimize the yield and profit of every acre on your farm. Contact Oldie Seed today.
The Kansas Livestock Association is one of the key partners in a new cattle traceability pilot project. Cattle Trace will involve an end-to-end disease traceability system beginning with cow-calf producers and ending at the beef processing plant. A number of ranches, feed yards, auction markets, and beef processing facilities have volunteered to cooperate on the project. The goal is to utilize ultra-high frequency tags and readers to collect the minimal amount of data necessary for disease traceability at the speed of commerce. In addition to KLA and private sector partners, the Kansas Department of Agriculture and Kansas State University are participating in the Cattle Trace project. It will be funded with both public and private resources. Cattle Trace organizers hope the Kansas model will guide the development of a cost-effective national traceability program that can work at the speed of commerce. KLA is supporting the project based on policy approved by members in December 2017. The resolution supports a mandatory national individual animal disease traceability system for all cattle that minimizes costs to producers, optimizes the role of the private sector, and protects the confidentiality of individual animal owner records. On a broader scale, the project will help meet the objectives of the current beef industry long-range plan, which emphasizes the importance of adopting individual animal traceability to help manage any potential disease outbreak. Early action steps for the Cattle Trace project will be identifying additional ranch and cattle feeding cooperators, distributing tags, and installing readers.
Good morning. I'm Eric Osterhaus with Paragon Ag. Our most recent USDA report was not very friendly for the soybean market, but did give us friendly news for corn and wheat. The real question is whether the trade has priced in enough of the bearish trade talk to allow corn and wheat to actually stage a rally. A case can also be made that despite the bearish report on beans, maybe we were a little oversold going into the report and that we might see some prices stabilize. Everyone is looking for signs that a near-term bottom has been formed. I guess time will tell. The bearish news is largely known at this time. The tariff talk and bearish weather really are old headlines at this point. We may have a little window here before the next USDA report on August the 10th for the markets to trade higher on either friendly news or really just a lack of new bearish news. However, it's important to remember that the USDA did not adjust crop yields on the July report, and one can expect that there's a good chance that they'll raise these estimates on the August report. It likely will be prudent to find a way to take advantage of any rallies we have leading up to that August report. As always, please feel free to call us with any questions on these markets or any market. You can reach us at 888-452-8751. Have a productive day.
And that's this week's show. Be sure to be social with us online at kansasagreport.net or Facebook and Twitter. Thanks for watching the Kansas Ag Report. I'm Ken Rogers. We'll see you next week.
Closed captioning brought to you by the Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers. KansasSoybeans.org. Farm Bureau, a grassroots ag organization representing the state's farmers and ranchers since 1919. KFB.org. Kansas Wheat Commission, leaders in the adoption of profitable innovations for wheat. Online at kswheat.com. Kansas Livestock Association, supporting our members' business interests to meet consumers' demands. KLA.org.
Agriculture information on your computer or mobile device. News and views on grains, livestock policy, and opinions from newsmakers can be found by liking AgView on Facebook, and on Twitter, follow AgView News, a reliable and relevant source. agview.net.
Spring is sprung, and Premier Farm and Home has what you need to keep your yard crabgrass free throughout the season. With a complete line of pre-emergents, you can stop crabgrass before it starts. Premier Farm and Home, 900 Southwest University Boulevard, or find them on the web at heycow.com.
What if U.S. soybean oil were an industry sensation? If end users started asking for it by name? That future is here. The time is now. To meet customer demands, the Soybean Checkoff is investing in varieties that produce oil with increased functionality. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture, represents grassroots agriculture. The state's largest and most powerful farm organization stands up for its members through leadership development, agriculture education, legal defense, environmental advocacy, farm safety, and risk management. Members also enjoy money-saving benefits. To join our organization today or to learn more, go to www.kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
The producer-funded Kansas Wheat Innovation Center was built to get improved varieties into the hands of farmers faster. Kansas Wheat, farmers advancing their future through wheat genetics research.
All over the country, more and more communities are making the change to biodiesel made from U.S. soybean oil. And the decision continues, improving the health and welfare for millions of Americans while adding billions to our national economy.
What does a brighter, more sustainable future look like in our cities and towns? And how do we get there? When New York needed an alternative fuel source to reduce carbon emissions, the city found what it needed in biodiesel made from U.S. soybean oil.
Spring is sprung, and Premier Farm and Home has what you need to keep your yard crabgrass free throughout the season. With a complete line of pre-emergents, you can stop crabgrass before it starts. Premier Farm and Home, 900 Southwest University Boulevard, or find them on the web at heycow.com.